Alright, so today I'm going to be giving y'all a full tour of my license plate collection. Now, my collection of license plates is not anything particularly special, nor is it a particularly big collection of license plates either, but it's my collection, and I'm a fan of it, and I really enjoy doing research about some of the different license plates that I have. And so as such, I thought it would be fun to make a video all about my full license plate collection. And so as such, well, that's exactly what I'm doing today. My plan for this video is very simple. First off, I want to go ahead and do the intro, which is what I'm doing right now. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and actually start giving you guys a full tour of my license plate collection. And then after that, I'm going to talk about what my future plans for my collection are as well. Now that I've covered everything I wanted to say for the intro, I do think without further ado, I should probably go ahead and actually start covering what license plates are in my collection, and I should probably go ahead and give you guys a full tour of my license plate collection now, shouldn't I? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and grab the first license plate off the stack next to me on the table I'm sitting at, and let's go ahead and just bring it down here. And now, let's go ahead and showcase exactly what it is. So what is the first license plate in my collection? Well, it is not anything particularly special, I'll acknowledge. To most people at least. This license plate, though, is special to me. Not because this license plate used to be on one of my cars, because it didn't used to be. This license plate came from somebody else, I will acknowledge. However, this license plate is special to me simply due to the design of it, because this is a first-in-flight license plate from North Carolina. This background design was first introduced in 1982, and since I was born and raised in North Carolina, the license plate I saw the most of while I was growing up was, well, the first-in-flight plate. I will acknowledge I have grown a little bit attached emotionally to this design. I'm a huge fan of it, and I think it looks fantastic. The first-in-flight text at the top in red with the Wright Flyer in blue, in the background with the blue serial numbers, and then the blue, sort of like seagrass with the red North Carolina text. I think it all looks fantastic. It's a really nice, classic, clean design in my personal opinion, and while some people might think it is a bit dated, to me, it is perfection. Without a doubt, the first-in-flight plate from North Carolina is one of my favorite license plates of all time. I think it just looks so good, and people in 1982 thought it looked really good as well, as this license plate actually won an award when it was first released, which is the first and only time that North Carolina has ever won an award for a license plate ever. Pretty cool stuff in my personal opinion. I love the first-in-flight plate, and that is the first license plate that I have in my collection. But what is the next license plate? Excuse me. I just got caught up on my words there, I will acknowledge. What is the next license plate that I have in my collection? Well, it is something that used to be really common, and is now getting less and less common by each day. This second license plate in my collection is, once again, a first-in-flight plate from North Carolina. However, instead of having a blue serial like this one, it instead has a red serial. These license plates with the red serial were produced between 2007 and 2009, and they were produced for a variety of different reasons, and then subsequently discontinued for a variety of different reasons as well. But I am extremely glad to have one of these in my collection. They are slowly getting rarer and rarer and rarer, and while this one is not in perfect condition by any means, as we can see it is bubbling and the paint is kind of peeling just a little bit over there, I am nonetheless very thankful and very glad to have this plate in my collection. I think the red first-in-flight plates from North Carolina have a very unique look to them, and honestly, I don't mind them one bit. I don't think they're as classic of a look as the blue serial first-in-flight plates, but I think they have their own unique thing going on, and I got no complaints on my behalf about the fact that I have this plate. This plate is also very dirty, but I am never going to wash it because we can see that there is a massive stack of old North Carolina registration stickers. I am never washing this license plate because this stack deserves to stay on this license plate forever. And we can see as well, this license plate was used for a very long time. It's getting a little bit of corrosion right there and everything like that kind of thing, and it is very dirty. Yeah, this license plate was used for a very long time. It got its use, that is for sure, and I'm glad to be able to give it a break in my collection, I will acknowledge. Without further ado, let's go ahead and now move on to the next license plate I have in my collection, which is, as one might expect, another North Carolina license plate, I will acknowledge. This is the "In God We Trust" slogan North Carolina license plate, which is a newer license plate than not for the state of North Carolina, and this was introduced in, I want to say, 2019 as a new standard plate, available at no extra fee. I will acknowledge I'm not really the biggest fan of this plate. I still like the North Carolina text at the very bottom. "In God We Trust." I think "First in Flight" honestly is just a better slogan personally, but maybe that's just me. Having the American flag at the top though, that's pretty baller. Don't mind that. The blue text, you know what I'm saying? Pretty baller. Don't mind that. Just says "to be" rather than "to seem." I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm sure it means something. Overall, I'm glad to own this just because it's another license plate from North Carolina. It's another license plate to add to my collection of North Carolina license plates, but it's not a license plate that I love all that much, I will admit. The next plate in my collection is, unsurprisingly, another North Carolina license plate. In fact, it's another "In God We Trust" North Carolina license plate as well. I already covered kind of what I think about these license plates with the last one, so I'm not going to talk any more on it, but I have another one, so certainly can't complain, that is for sure. I'm going to go ahead and put both of those over to the side, and now we are going to go ahead and cover the worst condition license plate that I have in my entire collection. It is, unlike most license plates, not in one piece. It is instead in two pieces. So, this license plate, I found it in the middle of the road. I was driving and I was at a stoplight, and in front of me I was like, what is that on the ground? And I was like, oh wait, that's a license plate. Let me get that out of the road. So I grabbed it and then added it to my license plate collection, I will acknowledge. But yes, this is another license plate that I have. Looks like it fell off of somebody's car or something like that kind of thing, and it is in absolutely horrible condition, literally in two pieces. This is a First in Freedom North Carolina license plate, which was first introduced as a new standard plate here in 2015, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, this is in horrible condition. One of the goals for my license plate collection I am going to spoil is to get a better condition one of these, but for the moment, this one will do. I've never cleaned this one. I think this one does need cleaning, and I do have plans to clean this one with a power washer eventually, because that's how it's going to have to be cleaned. But it got run over so many times that this is just not, you can't put this on a car anymore, because that's just, I mean, like, this is basically a flat plate now with just how many times it's been run over, and I don't like flat plates. And so as such, this license plate, it is not one of my favorite ones in the collection, but it is still an amusing one to own in my personal opinion. This one, if you ask me, it is basically trash though, I will acknowledge, but still a license plate I'm glad to have in the collection nonetheless, and one that I find to be pretty amusing just because it is so broken. I didn't realize license plates could, excuse me, I'm getting more jumbled up. I didn't realize license plates could break like that, frankly put. The next license plate I have in my collection is another North Carolina license plate. This one is discontinued, and this one is pretty special in my personal opinion. What we've got next is a permanent North Carolina handicapped license plate. Now, from what I know, these are actually not made anymore. I don't know when exactly these were discontinued, but from what I can tell, it was probably the late 90s, early 2000s, as I don't think North Carolina actually has permanent handicap license plates anymore. There may still be some cars driving around with these, but I don't believe they're actually given out. I am very glad to have this license plate in my collection, and it is also extremely heavy as well, and it is in great condition as well. The Letters down here are extremely embossed, which is super nice, and the quality of this license plate is just, frankly put, a step above the quality of this one right here. Like, this one is heavy. It is so heavy, it feels like a piece of steel. This is cheap, lightweight, thin aluminum. This is a license plate. That's what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? It looks great. Maybe needs to be a little bit clean, but it looks fantastic nonetheless, and it is in great shape as well. Very, very, very glad to own this license plate. Now, one interesting thing about this license plate is that for some reason, there's only one screw hole right here. That's the only screw hole there is on this license plate. I don't know why. I initially thought that that was a manufacturing error, and so I looked up North Carolina permanent handicap license plates. And I saw some photos of other ones online, and they're all like this. They all have just one hole. I don't know why. Why would you want only one hole? You need two, so like it doesn't like droop down and then scratch the hell out of your bumper or out of the rest of your car or something like that kind of thing. I don't know why there's only one hole, but there is. Like, even if they were only going to do one hole up here, they could do another hole on the other side down here, so then it still attaches properly, but they didn't. I don't know what they were doing with that, in all honesty, but they had a plan, and I guess they went through with it. Maybe it was a manufacturing error that just made it to every single plate they ever made, or maybe it wasn't a manufacturing error and they just did it on purpose. I'm not sure. Either way, I'm not exactly sure why this plate only has one hole, but it does nonetheless. Overall, I personally think the look of this plate is a very, very, very classic look, a very classic aesthetic in my personal opinion. It's very clean as well. Nothing particularly special, but a pretty nice look nonetheless. Let's go ahead and now go over the next license plate I have, which is another, not standard per se, but it's another, well, standard license plate, just not one that is as standard as the First in Flight blue plate that I showed you guys previously. What I have here is a weighted North Carolina license plate, which does indeed have 4 holes and is made out of a lighter aluminum than the handicap plate, even though it is in a very similar style. We can see this plate was first registered in 2003, and it was registered all the way through 2016, which, if I'm remembering correctly, was actually the last year they used stickers like this for registration on license plates, which is pretty interesting. And this one, from what I remember at least, was on an F250. So that F250 was running for quite a long time. This weighted plate certainly did its service, I will admit, and overall is in pretty good condition for having been on the road for so long. I think it just needs to be washed, and then after that, it's going to be all good to go. One other interesting thing about this license plate is that we can see the person who was registered to it was indeed an organ donor, as we can see from the middle bit right there. The person who had this license plate was indeed an organ donor, which is pretty interesting in my personal opinion. Very glad to have a weighted plate added to my collection. Now I need to find me a farm truck plate as well. And that is the, next license plate, all covered. So let's go ahead and now cover the next license plate, which is the best condition license plate in my entire collection, if you ask me. It's in such good condition that I actually have it in a sleeve just so it doesn't get scratched up. As you guys can tell, this is a license plate from Virginia. I've now covered every single license plate I have from North Carolina, so now we're covering all the other states too. So let's go ahead and get this license plate out, and let's go ahead and take a look at what it actually is. This license plate is, to be precise, a license plate that is allowing me to smack mosquitoes. Let me stand up real quick, because oh my god, I am being swarmed right now. The license plate? I'm getting my words all jumbled up. The mosquitoes were not nearly as bad when I first started this video, but they have gotten really bad. I think it's because the sun has started shining on me a little bit more so than not. But I'm just gonna walk over here for a minute, just kind of confuse the mosquitoes. But man, oh man, they are swarming. Oh my god. That is crazy, yo. That is crazy. I'm gonna have to wash my hands after this to get all the blood from the mosquito off, because man, there was a bunch of blood on it. But man, the mosquitoes are just swarming. That's crazy, yo. That's crazy. I'm even wearing long sleeves and they're still coming at me. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. But let's go ahead and get back to the license plate at hand. What we have is a Virginia antique license plate. Not that this license plate is antique, but this license plate is meant for antique cars over 30 to 35 years old, maybe 40 years old. I'm not exactly sure what the antique laws in Virginia are, as I'm not from there, I will acknowledge. But what I do know is that this license plate has an exceedingly classic design, in my personal opinion. I really like the sort of mustard, dark, yellow background with the blue text on it with the embossment. And the license plate number for this license plate is pretty cool as well. 7775DZ. That's a pretty nice number in my personal opinion. Just says Virginia up top, antique down below, both in blue with a nice blue border going all the way around as well. Overall, I think it's a very clean design, and this is by far my best condition license plate. Looks fantastic in my personal opinion. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. Very glad to have this one in my collection. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one back in the sleeve though, just real quick. And now I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the next plate I have, which is not as cool, but it's still pretty interesting just because of the time period it came from, because this is an older license plate than not. The next license plate I have is another Virginia license plate, but this one is not for a passenger vehicle. It is instead for a trailer. And this trailer that this license plate was registered to was last registered in 1998, which is, well, quite a while ago, I will acknowledge. This license plate is quite old, but overall, I think it's got a pretty basic yet somewhat classic design to it. The Virginia text at the top looks pretty good, just has the numbers right there, the serial right there, in a nice sort of dark blue that I will acknowledge is not super reflective. And it just says trailer down there as well, all very nicely embossed overall, with the nice embossment for the Virginia text up here and the trailer text down here, and all of the very deep embossment for the serial itself. I think that this license plate has a really nice classic look to it, and overall I am a fan. Certainly no complaints on this license plate, I will acknowledge. This one was bought at a thrift shop for $3.99. I have no idea if that's a good deal, but I'm glad I bought it nonetheless. The next license plate I have to show y'all is probably my least favorite license plate in the entire collection, because the next license plate I am going to be showing y'all is the only flat plate in my collection, unless you include the broken plate, which was run over so many times it's basically become a flat plate. So, what's the next plate I have in my collection? Well, it is a South Carolina standard issue license plate, and it's a more modern than not South Carolina standard issue license plate as well. At the very top, it just says, "While I breathe, I hope," whatever that means. That's all in white, and we just see a palm tree with the moon in the background, see the serial in black on the white background around the palm tree and stuff like that. And then at the bottom, we just get a blue sort of strip that just says South Carolina in white right there with the registration sticker off to the side. We can see the car that this was on was last registered in April of 2023. I don't like flat plates. Genuinely, like, this just, I mean, like, how can you compete with embossed plates? This just looks so much better than flat plates, frankly put. Flat plates, they look cheap, just, it feels cheap kind of thing. This looks like a toy plate you'd buy at the store. This looks like something you'd put on your Barbie Jeep. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm glad to own one of these because, you know, I want to own a license plate from both North Carolina and South Carolina as a Carolina native. But I am just not a fan of these flat plates. They're not my thing, I will acknowledge, and embossed plates are absolutely the GOAT. And man, we need to bring embossed plates back to the fullest degree. I've heard that half of all states these days are using flat plates, and honestly, that's not cool. That's not chill. We need all states to be using embossed plates, and you know, when I come to power, I'm gonna make it a law that all states must use embossed plates, not flat plates, because flat plates, just frankly put, are worse. I'm not a fan of them, I will acknowledge, but nonetheless, I am very glad to own this plate. Without further ado, let's go ahead and cover the next plate now, which is from a state that I have been to. I don't remember actually how I got this license plate, but I've had it for a year or two now. What I have is a plate from a state that I've been to, but I don't go to very often, and that I, before last year, hadn't been to in over a decade. I really don't remember how I got this license plate, but I got it somehow. The next plate I have to show y'all is a standard issue Pennsylvania license plate that is more modern than not, probably from the last 5-10 years or so. This one has embossing, which is fantastic, of course. Pennsylvania still uses embossing. Just says Pennsylvania at the top, has the Pennsylvania state shape right there, which is an amazing idea. Has a little bit of a like nook or vase or cranny right there or something like that kind of thing, rather than the usual dash, which I think is pretty interesting as well. And just overall, the text is a very nice blue sort of look to it, of blue color to it, with that blue at the top as well, and then yellow on the background. Just says visitpa.com right there, just doing some advertising on the back of the plate. I'm not really the biggest fan of putting websites on the back of license plates, I will acknowledge. I just don't really think it ages very well, frankly put. But, you know, I totally get why they did it, and I don't think it's a terrible design by any means. And while it's certainly not my favorite license plate in the United States, I certainly don't mind this license plate either, and I'm glad to have it in the collection. And overall, you know, it's a nice piece. It's a nice piece. Not in too bad of a condition by any means, but it definitely has seen its use, as is obvious by the holes up here. Excuse me, just had a little bit of a burp. Without further ado, I suppose I should probably go ahead and cover the next license plate I have now, which is actually the last license plate I have to show y'all in my entire collection. This is the last license plate I have in my collection. So what is the next license plate going to be? Well, it's not from North Carolina. It is from one of the most northern states in the United States. And it is also one of my favorite license plate designs in the United States as well. The license plate I have to wrap up my license plate collection is the standard issue Maine Vacation Land license plate, which frankly put, I think looks fantastic. It's got a very nice black border going all the way around with some nice spruce trees just lining the bottom in black. It just says Vacation Land right there. Registration sticker right there, last registered in 2022 and registered in December, as we can see on the top right there. On a white background at the top, just says Maine in a very nice text. And on the side over here, we can see like a spruce sort of like branch, or like a pine branch with a pine cone right there. And we could see a bird as well. I don't know if this is like Maine state bird or something like that kind of thing, but if it is, that's pretty cool in my personal opinion. Great, nice design. I really like detailed designs on license plate, and this certainly does fit the bill, I will acknowledge. And then we could just see the serial itself is just in a very nice, simple black text that is indeed embossed. I am a sucker for black serials on license plates, I will acknowledge. I think that they look pretty classic, and I think that this license plate, even though it is a modern Maine license plate, still has some classic design elements to it. Overall, I am a big fan of this plate. It's a nice display piece, and I'm very, very, very glad that I own it, especially since the Maine Vacation Land plate is one of my favorite United States license plates of all time. And that is the entirety of my license plate collection. But that's not the entirety of this video. Next up, I need to go ahead and talk about what my future goals for the collection actually are. So what are they? Well, first off, I want to find myself a low serial number 1982, precisely 1982, North Carolina First in Flight plate. Because when the First in Flight plates were first introduced, they used some different serial formats. I want to get one of the 1982 serial format First in Flight plates. That's really the first thing that I want, I will acknowledge. And I just want some early spec, early serial First in Flight plates from North Carolina in general, I will acknowledge. Another First in Flight plate that I really want is an OBX plate, because in North Carolina there's a regional area called the Outer Banks that you can get special license plates from. They don't cost you any more, but you have to go to a DMV there to get it, and I want one of those as well. I want a low serial number, good condition OBX license plate from around about when they were introduced in 1999. So I want one of those too. I also want a good condition red plate along with a low serial red plate as well. I think that would be pretty dang cool. And then other than that, what am I thinking? I want a 1969 North Carolina license plate. I want one of the North Carolina license plates that was the standard issue plates That was the standard issue plate between 1975 and 1982, up until the point where the first in flight plates were introduced as well. And then I just want like a lot of like older North Carolina license plates than not in general, from the basically 1910s when they were first introduced all the way to the modern era. I'd like to be able to get one from almost every single year up until the point where the first in flight design was first introduced, because then after that the plate designs pretty much stayed pretty continuous and the same, I will admit. Other than that, anything else I want? I think getting some cool North Carolina vanity plates would be pretty interesting. Getting maybe some like discontinued North Carolina vanity plates, I think that would be pretty neat. I certainly wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of those. And other than North Carolina plates, I think it would be really cool to see if I could get one plate, one standard issue plate from each state in the United States. Get a Hawaii plate, get a New Mexico plate, and just get all of the plates from every state in the United States. I think that would be a pretty cool thing to do. And so as such, if that's something that I am able to do, I am looking forward to doing just that. Other license plates that I want, I already mentioned the fact that I want a good condition red plate and a low serial number red plate as well. I think there is one very, very, very niche. There's like almost no information about this about these license plates online, and this is probably going to be the hardest license plate that I've mentioned to find so far, besides like super early on, like 1910s North Carolina license plates. But between, I want to say it was 2007, 2008, and 2011. As I said, there's not a lot of information, so the dates might be slightly wrong. But in that time frame, North Carolina did a test with flat plates, and they used them with only vanity plates for the test. I want to find a flat North Carolina vanity plate in blue, but if I can find one in red, which I don't know if they ever made them in red, I want one of those as well. I want one of those. So, yeah, I want a North Carolina flat plate as well. Even though I hate flat plates, I still want to own one for historical purposes. That's probably going to be really hard to find because those were only vanity plates, but I want to find one of those nonetheless. I could also get a flat plate for shortwave radio license plates as well, though. I've seen a photo of one of those, so if I could find one of those, I'd be pretty happy too. Anything else I'm thinking? I'd like to get a North Carolina permanent plate that you see on like police cars and stuff like that. I'd like to get my hands on an SHP plate in North Carolina. Any license plates that start with SHP belong to the State Highway Patrol. That's what SHP stands for, of course. So I think it would be pretty amusing to get my hands on an SHP plate, I will acknowledge. I think that'll be very difficult to get my hands on as well. I don't even know if that would be legal to get my hands on, but I think it would be pretty cool to own. I don't know how I'd get my hands on one of those, but I certainly wouldn't mind getting one, I'll acknowledge. And other than that, apparently there is one other like region that you used to be able to get like special license plates from in North Carolina. I don't know exactly where it was, but there was one other region you used to be able to get like regional license plates from, and I kind of want to get one from there as well. Other plates from around the world, you know, I think getting like an old Japanese plate would be pretty cool. Maybe some old Australian plates. I'd love to get a New Mexico plate. I'd love to get a full collection of Mexican state plates as well, especially Oaxaca, because I think the modern license plate design from there looks fantastic, I'll acknowledge. So I'd love to get some license plates from Mexico, and I'd love to have a full collection of Canadian license plates as well, especially one of the license plates from the Northwest Territories that's shaped like a polar bear. I think that would be super sick. And is there anything else coming to the top of my head for license plates that I might want to own? Just like some funny cereal license plates. I'm not really one for the idea of collecting vanity plates. I understand why some people might want to collect vanity plates. Personally, for me though, I'm more of a fan of standard issue plates, I will acknowledge. But I think some funny cereal, like standard issue license plates, where it's like THC-420 or something like that kind of thing. And that was not a vanity plate. It was actually just standard like that kind of thing. I think that would be pretty funny to own, I'll acknowledge, but plates like that, I'll acknowledge. I'm not really looking at collecting vanity plates, but like standard issue funny license plates, I wouldn't mind owning. Anything other than that? Oh, Dr. Pepper Texas plate. Yeah, I want to have one of those, Dr. Pepper Texas plate. I think that's about it, in all honesty. And basically any other license plates I see that cross my mind that I'm like, well, that would be pretty cool to own. Yeah. There's a lot of other license plates I could mention, like, you know, England, Germany, France, Russia, Ukraine, South Korea, China. Ooh, Chinese license plate would be pretty cool. North Korean license plate would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on any of those. Well, North Korean license plate would be pretty baller, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I'd have to say those are around about my future plans for the license plate collection. I'm not gonna stress about searching for them super hard by any means. It's gonna be one of those it happens when it happens types of thing. If I find one and it's the right place, right time, and I got the money in hand, I'm buying what I want. But if I don't have it, or if it's not the right place, not the right time, I won't pick it up kind of thing. I'm not stressing about filling out my entire license plate goals within a certain time frame or anything like that kind of thing. It's just a fun goal to keep in the back of my head for the time being and to keep having in the back of my head for the future. So whenever I see a license plate I want, I can pick it up and add it to the collection and check that one off of my license plate future goals list. But yeah, that was the full tour of my license plate collection, and those were my future goals for the collection as well. Think I said everything I wanted to say for this video today. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my website, and everything like that all in the description down below. Go check it all out. Hope you guys enjoyed watching my full tour of my license plate collection. To the next one, stay safe in peace, and have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying?